Welcome to Barbara's Bulletin, the podcast where we bring you the latest news and updates from around the world. We have a lot of exciting stories to share with you, but first, let's start with some breaking news. According to recent reports, U.S. and Nigerian forces have carried out a joint mission that resulted in the death of a high-ranking leader of the Islamic State group in Nigeria. The leader, identified as Abu Bakr al-Mainuki, was reportedly second in command of the Islamic State group globally and was hiding in Africa. U.S. President Donald Trump announced the operation on social media, stating that al-Mainuki was killed alongside several of his lieutenants during a strike on his compound in the Lake Chad Basin. The Nigerian military has also confirmed the operation, saying it was a result of their recently formed U.S.-Nigeria partnership and intelligence sharing efforts. Analysts say that if confirmed, the killing of al-Mainuki is a significant blow to the Islamic State group in West Africa, as he was a key figure in organizing and finance. However, some experts also note that al-Mainuki's role may have been exaggerated and that his death may not necessarily disrupt the group's operations. The operation is part of a broader effort by the U.S. and Nigerian governments to combat terrorism in the region. Nigeria has been battling multiple armed groups, including at least 2 affiliated with IS, as it grapples with a multifaceted security crisis. We'll continue to follow this story and bring you updates as more information becomes available. In the meantime, we want to hear from you. What do you think about this latest development in the fight against terrorism? Share your thoughts with us on social media using the hashtag Barbara's Bulletin. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Barbara's Bulletin. Welcome back to Barbara's Bulletin. We're continuing our coverage of international news, and today we're focusing on a developing story that's making waves in the diplomatic community. The United States is reportedly planning to indict former Cuban leader Raul Castro over the downing of 2 humanitarian planes in 1996. This incident has been a point of contention between the U.S. and Cuba for decades, with Cuba defending its actions as a legitimate defense of its airspace, while the U.S. has maintained that the attack occurred over international waters. According to sources, the indictment is part of the Trump administration's ongoing pressure campaign against Cuba, which has included enforcing a de facto fuel blockade, issuing threats of military action, and ramping up sanctions. The move has been met with defiance from Cuban officials, with Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez stating that Cuba will continue on its path of sovereignty despite U.S. threats. We've spoken to Cubans in Havana who are concerned that an indictment would only escalate tensions between the 2 nations. One resident, Sonia Torres, said that prosecuting Raul Castro would be seen as an affront to Cuban pride and could lead to further diplomatic crisis. Others, like Eliezer Diaz, believe that Cuba had the right to defend itself against what it saw as U.S. aggression. It's worth noting that this development comes at a time when Cuba is already struggling with its worst crisis in decades amid severe fuel shortages. The U.S. has used criminal cases against foreign leaders to justify military actions in the past, and some experts are warning that an indictment could be used as a pretext for further action. As we continue to follow this story, it's clear that the situation between the U.S. and Cuba is complex and multifaceted. We'll be keeping a close eye on developments and bringing you updates as more information becomes available. Welcome back to Barbara's Bulletin. We're closing out today's show with a story that's affecting thousands of commuters in the New York area. The Long Island Railroad, one of the busiest commuter rail systems in the United States, has come to a halt due to a strike by approximately 3,500 workers. The workers, represented by 5 unions, are seeking better wage agreements after going 3 years without raises. According to reports, the strike was called after negotiations between the Metropolitan Transportation Authority and the unions broke down. The MTA had offered several proposals, including meaningful wage increases, but the unions felt that these offers were not sufficient. New York Governor Kathy Hochul has urged both parties to return to the bargaining table, emphasizing the importance of finding a resolution that works for everyone. The impact of the strike is already being felt, with commuters facing severe congestion and delays. The MTA has set up limited shuttle bus services for essential workers and those who cannot work from home. However, many are bracing themselves for a difficult commute in the coming days. It's worth noting that this dispute has been ongoing for some time, with President Donald Trump signing an executive order earlier this year to appoint a second emergency board to conduct mediation. Despite these efforts, a resolution has yet to be reached. As we wrap up this story, it's clear that the strike is having far-reaching consequences for commuters and the economy as a whole. We hope that both parties will continue to negotiate in good faith and find a solution that meets the needs of all stakeholders. That's all for today's Barbara's Bulletin. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, stay engaged.